that type of negative, boom, boom, boom. Now imagine that voice is in your fucking head and it is there constantly. You can't get rid of it. So I kind of sympathise with how bad the condition is, and I sympathise that it can push you to do some really horrible things. I don't believe then that he'd need the death penalty, but I don't believe medication's going to help him either.
No. So a prison sentence would help.
I didn't say that.
To keep them off the streets, but safe.
A prison hospital would help. I think if there was any sort of intermingling, you'd have to have like armed guards, you know? Because this guy's not going to go, oh yeah, I'm just going to hurt him a little bit. I'm going to slap this guy around. He's going to be looking to kill you and eat you. They left him alone for what, 2 minutes in another room?
Precisely.
Smashing this guy's face off the floor and trying to eat him.
Precisely, in that sense, he's a danger to both himself and others, regardless of condition or not, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's the main point of it. Condition or not, if you're a danger to yourself or others, something needs to be done.
And it's prolonged. I mean, it's not like he had this for a week or a year. He had 8 to 9 years in one facility. Came out, and the first day he was out, he went, net this bloke. It's not like...
Precisely. Being in that facility didn't help him.
Yeah.
It either made him worse, or his desire was there. He just then suddenly had the facilities around him to go ahead and do it.
He had the tools.
Yeah, he had the tools around him.
Quite literally had the tools.
Yeah.
Later on, somewhere in here, it says that his first stop was to a hardware store and he bought a Stanley knife and a hammer, and, you know, he knew what he was doing.
He knew exactly what his plan was, and that's the thing.
He walked out of one building where he's got all the help in the world, walked into another where he was going to do it. No, he was just very good at putting the face on. And then, that's why
becomes you can control it.
Yes, he can.
If you can put the face on, then you can control schizophrenia.
You can control... No, you can't control the schizophrenia any more than you can control the chemical imbalance of depression. I believe there's two forms of depression. The depression that is a chemical imbalance, and the depression that is the habitual talking negatively to yourself that leads you into a form of depression. And I think if you've got the chemical imbalance, you probably need medication. Thankfully, I don't think I had the chemical imbalance. I think that prolonged talking negatively to yourself or believing negative things about yourself can lead to a chemical imbalance, but I don't believe that you can get rid of the chemical imbalance just by pretending it doesn't exist any more than you could with schizophrenia. You can change your thought patterns and become more positive and get rid of the depression that isn't the chemical imbalance. That's what I did. That's what I believe I did. So much more positive. But if I had the chemical imbalance, I don't think I can click my fingers and get rid of it. Dean couldn't click his fingers and just get rid of the schizophrenia by pretending it wasn't there.
So you can't put the face on then, can you?
Dean did. It's hard, isn't it? It's hard.
Cool.
Without having the condition, it's hard to understand. Mr. Jeffsey said about Peter, he believed the human body was a natural food resource that made him stronger. He wanted to kill 8 people, so he could be called a serial killer. So
he's got that serial killer desire.
As have a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not buying it. You can't have this mice and men Green Mile persona. Oh, Bryan is dead. Oh, this has occurred. Oh, I would have eaten him raw, but there was no facilities. You know, I would have cooked him, but there was no facilities, so I considered eating him raw. You can't have this sort of very simplistic way of thinking and then be like, what if I kill 8 of them? That characterises me as a serial killer. I'll become a somebody. And in the same breath be saying it's because I want to eat their souls. That's somebody with intelligent thinking. That's somebody going, you know what, that puts me on the edge of insanity. And if I then do something, well, I'm insane. You're just going to keep me in a psychiatric unit. You're not going to put me away. And then I'm going to get out again by pretending I'm fine. That's somebody who's thinking these things through. Psychiatrist Dr. Martin Locke, who according to murderpedia.uk, carried out a series of, and this is his words, I did not pick these words, and psychiatrists should know better, but whatever. Psychiatrist Dr. Martin Locke, who according to Murderpedia carried out a series of Silence of the Lambs style interviews with Peter Bryan, said, and I can kind of imagine this guy being locked up.
Come on, get to it.
Come on, get to it. Can't you? Isn't that the way this guy comes across?
Maybe.
would you sit and have a game of chess with him? Well, obviously you can't play chess, but would you sit and have a game of Snap or whatever it is you play? Would
you like a game of Snap?
Oh, that was vaguely threatening. Okay, anyway, Silence of the Lambs now interviews. I'm going to dig myself a big hole. Peter Bryan said he's the most dangerous man I have ever assessed. He told the doctor, "You look like a brainy chap, and you are quite slim. I think I could take you."
It's nice.
I wouldn't have liked to have been the doctor. He went on to describe victims' legs as tastes like chicken. Mr. Jaffrey said he should die behind bars. He is at his most dangerous when able to appear completely calm and settled. He's at his most dangerous when able to present as completely calm and settled.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, he is dangerous, and in that sense he should have been behind bars, because regardless of a condition or not, he was a danger both to himself and others.
Oh man, it's so hard.
He did a crime. End of situation. He did a crime.
Not end of
we
situation.
We can't just keep allowing. If we turn around and go, "Oh hi, by the way, I've got schizophrenia, so bye, see you later, I'm going home," I did a crime. I still have to be punished for that crime.
Yes, you have to be punished for the crime.
I've taken lives and eaten those lives.
Eaten the lives? Yeah, the brain.
So,
We're going to have a brain versus mind argument, aren't we? A heart versus soul.
It's fine.
You ate their lives.
So, yeah, he should be behind
should
bars.
Should have just eaten a cat.
He should be behind bars.
They have like 9 lives.
You eat a cat, you're still behind bars.
Not eating a cat, that's disgusting. I'd rather eat a person than a cat. That's
I wouldn't.
Wrong, really. But anyway, whatever. Bryan was given a whole life sentence. It's about fucking time. Judge Giles Forrester, sorry, I was like a double-barreled name here. Judge Giles Forrester said, "You had the urge not only to kill, but also eat the flesh of your victims. You gained feelings of sexual excitement, power, and invincibility from battering them to death. It is clear you can appear calm and cooperative whilst harbouring bizarre psychotic beliefs. The hospital time did nothing for you in 1994, and I don't see it doing so now. She imposed a whole life term." So what do you think of that?
How
to
many
start
years is
with?
the whole life term for?
Whole life term back then was the remainder of.
Okay.
Right, but we'll get into that in a minute, because I did that as well. What was whole life term? It was the
Be
remainder
eligible
of.
for parole in 6 years for good behaviour.
No, don't quite work like that. Well, at least didn't then. As times change and things change,
Yeah.
I'll explain in a minute. But what do you think of that little speech?
That he should be behind bars.
Yes, I agree with that.
Yeah.
What about the feelings of sexual excitement, power and invincibility from battering them to death?
I'd already mentioned earlier about it was a sexual kick.
I didn't get it with the sexual kick. I didn't get it at all with that, and with a lot of them I do. I mean, the Jack the Ripper and the Peter Sutcliffe and this, that and the other, I kicked into that like a lot with a load of these. But this guy, I didn't get it. He killed a woman because he'd been fired. Yes, he was infatuated with her. Yes, she probably turned him down several times. Yes, he was probably hot about her. But I don't think he got a sexual kick from killing her. And I couldn't find anything to state that his crimes were sexually orientated. I mean, without being too grotesque, he didn't fuck Bryan. You get his brain.
No, I get he didn't.
There was no semen anywhere. He wasn't squirting all over the show. I didn't get any sort of sexual gratification from it. I could totally understand the power and invincibility from battering them to death. They say you get a godlike power from it, don't they? It's that you've taken something that shouldn't be taken. It's like when you get into these different and extreme fantasies, it's partly because they're different and extreme that people are like, oh, it's taboo, and therefore, why do you go on the 30,000 feet and do it in the toilet? because it's taboo. It's not allowed. You're not supposed to be doing it up there, are you? It's public. Why do people want to do it in a public place? Because it's public. There's a chance of getting caught. Does that make sense? So I understand that he got that, but I don't understand the sexual excitement element to it. I didn't make any sense to me at all.
Okay. Carry on.
She imposed a whole life term, as, in your opinion, she should have done. Lord Chief Justice Phillips reduced it in 2006 to 15 years.
Told ya.
Came along in 2006 and reduced it to 15 years.
Why?
So this guy was, 40 odd,
What was
let's say. Because
what was the reason for reducing?
things change, and this guy's come into power and gone, you know what, we don't believe in whole life terms anymore. We don't believe in 2 indefinite times. So we believe that life means 15 years. And so I'm going to give you 15 years from here. He went on to say your crimes were so severe that we didn't think you would ever be released from prison / this mental facility anyway, due to deteriorating mental health. However, his term was 15 years, as in 2006.
Okay, so what happens now then?
So it's unlikely he'll ever be released. But before we wrap up, shameless plug, Tracy's story is free until the 13th of September. We moved a whole 6 copies the other day. It's on the low end of what we usually do, to be fair, so go and get it, send it to everybody. Now, a couple of bits I want to make sure we're really specific, because I've got notes all over the place and they're never in any order. It's like my brain. Bryan Cherry, no, wrong one, Peter Bryan actually went out to the shop, and I said he got a Stanley knife and a hammer, didn't I?
Yes, believe so.
I was wrong, he didn't. I apologise. He got a Stanley knife, a hammer and a screwdriver. Doesn't say what he used the screwdriver for.
To get into his friend's flat, probably.
Could be, but then it was his friend. Why didn't he just knock on the door, say, hey Bryan, how you doing?
Maybe he wanted to give him a big surprise.
He gave him a big surprise, alright. Also, he was transferred to Broadmoor, in Broadmoor Hospital, high security, in Berkshire. And that's where apparently he is today, despite his 15-year term being up last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it's last year that the term was due to be up if it was 15 years. And I think the latest what you could find out was this year that he was still
incarcerated. I don't want to say incarcerated, it's not prison, is it?
So, and they said it was unlikely that he'll ever be released. I hope not, because obviously he can't control that when he's out. It's a matter of keeping people safe. And unfortunately, when he's out, people aren't safe.
You're right. But at the same time, as much as you're right, I want like a miracle cure for... I know there isn't, but I want like a miracle cure.
It would be great if there was miracle cures for this, that and everything else.
Just even for the mental health side of things. But at the same time, if there was a miracle cure, let's be honest, if there was a miracle cure that realigned his thoughts and that removed all the chemical imbalance stuff, just a miracle cure that's totally fictitious, but think of it as the elixir of life type thing, and you just went, boom, there you go. If that happened, the question then would become, as a perfectly sound human being, could he live with himself knowing the things that he's done?
Who knows? I certainly couldn't.
And how do these people, where do we draw that line? I know I'm going off a different subject. I am going to wrap it up, but you just made me think of something. How do these people in the line of duty, obviously they don't go around eating brains, but how do they marry up their...
In the sense of
police, in the sense of military, in the sense of
killing someone and living with that.
Well, let's put it another way. You're in a war zone. This is an argument I kind of had with one of my old managers. But you're in a war zone. You're surrounded by your friends that have told you stories of people where they've died in their arms. Yeah. You've seen people killed, but you've not had to be there yet. Okay? You're told stories about these children that come up and they